Hi Yogita, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you for asking. Can you tell us
Yeah,
something about yourself?
yeah. I'm Yogita. I'm currently working as a software tester in one of the company in Pune. Right now, I'm working on the hybrid framework, which is the combination of Maven, TestNG, and the POM.
Mm-hmm.
And here we follow the agile methodologies, and we have the scrum meeting and also the deliveries, and the sprint is for the 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Can you tell us something more about your framework and what is your contribution to this framework?
yeah. Basically my framework is a hybrid framework, as I told, which is a combination of Maven, TestNG, and the POM.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not the creating for the framework, but I was a part for the framework. And here my contribution was to write down the test cases, which was been given by our test lead, and we used to write it, get it checked from the test lead, review it.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was the process for the framework.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we follow the I test listeners here,
Mm-hmm.
and inheritance oops concept is being used, and here we have the base class in which the inheritance is been concept is being used,
Mm-hmm.
and also POM, as POM is a page object model. In this we have at the rate find by method is being used to initialize the object with the help of the constructor, that is page factory dot init elements driver comma this method. The basic purpose is to reusability of the code, and for the clean purpose we are using this POM. And here base utility folder has been there where we store the screenshot and with the timestamps.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Okay. Now consider a scenario if you have to run your automation in, let's say, development environment or let's say test environment or production environment. So
hmm.
how do you take care of these things?
Like depending on the situation,
Hmm.
we do that.
Okay.
If yeah,
Yeah, please go ahead.
no, continue, sir.
Okay,
Hmm.
no issue. So basically you have a URL hard coded somewhere in your automation and which you are
Hmm.
changing at the time of depending on the environment which you have to test. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So you have a config file option, right? A properties file
Hmm.
option in which you can mention the URLs, and based on the URL which you have to test, you can just update the config file and run the automation on that URL, right? Do you,
Yeah.
yeah, don't you follow that approach rather than keeping your URL hard coded in the framework?
Yeah, we do follow that same approach. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So let's say if this question comes to you in an interview, like
Hmm.
how will you take care of the automation or how will you trigger your automation in various environments? So you can tell that you have implemented properties file or a config file kind of a thing in your automation in which you have mentioned the various environment URLs and you are commenting the URLs or uncommenting them depending on the automation which you have to run, right? In that you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
also mention that you have kept username, passwords, and all those things are kept over there, which you can
Hmm.
parameterize and then you can use, right? So these
Yeah.
things,
Sure.
yeah, you can take care, right?
Hmm.
And don't get nervous at all, right? This is a mock
No.
interview,
No. Yeah. 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 Mhm.
so that's fine. Okay. Now you were mentioning about the listeners. So what do you mean by
Yeah.
listeners?
Listener is the interface, which is the by default method of the TestNG.
Hmm.
So it's try to trigger, means it is used for the configuring the and for the log purpose.
Hmm.
And here we are using in my project. I have used iTest listener, and basically there are various methods of listeners also, like iTest listener, iReporter, iConfigural, iParameterize.
Hmm.
So, and also the various depending on that we have on test suit, on test start, on test success. So
Hmm.
this approach has been there in the listener class.
Correct.
We try to listen and try to trigger the automation.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Now, what is the reporting mechanism that you have used in your automation?
A reporting mechanism, we are using the Excel files, and also that is the data-driven testing framework.
Okay. So with the help of Excel file, you are providing input to the automation and then it is running, right? That's what you are telling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. So when you are asked about the reporting mechanism, then you can tell what kind of reports are getting generated. Let's say some people are using extent reports, some people are simply using TestNG reports, right? So what kind of reports are being used? How are the reports, generated when you are running the automation? So what happens at that time?
Yeah, in the TestNG has provided a very good mechanism. That is, we are having the folder that is email is there, and HTML is been provided at the left side of the folder. That is the output folder. Here we can see which cases are been passed, which cases are been failed, or which are to be skipped. So according to that, we are getting the idea, and then we are having the reports. So that is quite helpful for the testers.
Perfect.
So we get I test this. The extent report has been there in our framework.
Okay, extent report is being used. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And for defect management tool, you are using Jira over here. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell me the steps? Let's say if I have to create an issue or create a defect in Jira tool. So which are the different steps that I need to follow?
Like defect life cycle.
Yeah, defect life cycle, or you can say, let's say if I have to log into Jira, then if I have to create an issue in Jira from end to end, from start to stop, right? So what would be the various fields that I need to fill in that?
Actually, voice get break.
Okay, no issues. I'll repeat the question. Let's say you are using Jira as a defect management tool, right? Now I have to create a ticket. I have to create an issue in Jira tool. So can you tell me the steps that you will be following, or which are the various fields that you will be using to create an issue in Jira?
Yeah, basically, Jira has given the defect management tool. In that, we can find out the defect with the help of like various status are being there, like open, close, then defer, reopen, and the fix. So these are the various status, and with the help of this, the developer and even the testers can easily understand what's the problem being created there. So first of all, when the build is being given from the developer to the tester, and tester will check it. If it has been defect has been found, then it will be sent to the developer again with the status as a new status. And after that, developer will check the application whether it is really a defect or not. If it is defect, then he will keep the status as a fix, and he will again send to the tester, and tester will again check it. If the defect is again been found, then he will reopen the status, and the process will go. Then if the developer find the duplicates, means duplicates have been the status been given, so that may be due to the various condition, like environmental condition will be there, or some network issues, or some misunderstanding of the requirement. So these are the various conditions will be there. And one of the status is the defer, where developer know actually it is a defect, but he will try to use that defect in the next build. So these are the various status in the defect life cycle.
Right. So the response that you gave was related to the defect life cycle. Now, as Jira has been mentioned in your CV, so the question was on how will you create a ticket in Jira. So in Jira, you will have a kind of summary field. You will have severity, priority. You will have steps to reproduce. You will get an field of attachment as well, attaching your logs and attaching your images, screenshots, right? And then you will have actual result, expected result. In that, again, you will have a sprint kind of field, then fixed status, affect version, fixed version, affect version kind of thing. So these are all the
Yeah.
fields that you will have to fill when you will file a ticket in Jira too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
So this is fine. Okay. Now let's say if we give you a software of healthcare domain, right, and you need to test it end to end, right? You don't have any BRD, FRD, SRS, anything available. You don't have any test cases available, but you know from the software, from the application, that it's an healthcare related domain related software. So can you tell me high level test scenarios? How will you test that particular software, that particular application?
If any conditions are not being provided, then I will be checking the exploratory testing on the high level. That is based on my knowledge, domain knowledge. I will doing it, going through the requirement, then writing down the test cases, get it preview from the test lead, and finally the execution will be there. So basically, I will be following the exploratory testing.
Exploratory testing you will go. Okay. Now, can you tell me high level test scenarios of how will you test the healthcare domain based application?
Yeah, basically for the healthcare domain, I will check, as my project was the healthcare only. So I'll be checking the visibility of the doctors, like how many times they have handled the situations, or what are the success stories, and even the medical claims, whether it has been there for that particular company or not. So like that will be the conditions.
Right, right. Then you can also check the inventory. Let's say the medicines are available or not, those kind of in the software, in the application itself, those details are being updated every time. Let's say if some medicines are provided to the patient, to XYZ patient, then accordingly the count of the medicines should get updated, right? Or let's say if any patient is getting discharged, so are those details updated, any dispensary related informations, right? And then how many number of employees are there, how many number of patients are being admitted to the hospital, patient details, nurse information, lab details, all those things, all this data is getting updated, right? So this is how you will be testing, right? Then there will be also some page or some particular flow of the application where they will be maintaining the record of birth certificates, death certificates, right? So those things also you need to check.
Yeah. Yes.
This is how you will be doing the testing. Okay. Now consider a software which is based on investment banking domain, right? Can you tell me high level test scenarios? How will you test this particular software?
Yeah, we'll check the login functionality, then password, whether it is taking or not, with the help of test techniques, test design techniques, like boundary value analysis, then error guessings. So these are the few techniques. With the help of that, I'll be doing the logging and the password functionality. Even the forgot password is there, whether after clicking on the forgot password link, whether any message has been shown or not. Then also I'll be checking the logo of that particular domain, whether it is working with or not, with the help of assertion. Then we are able to navigate to the next page or not properly. So I will be checking the same with the invalid password and valid login, like exchange will be doing that with positive or the negative testings.
Right, right. So can you tell me few of the negative test cases or negative test cases?
Yeah, negative test cases will be like if I go for the valid password, login is correct, but invalid password, by writing down the special characters or the numbers combination of that. Also write down the special symbols. So I'll be checking it whether it is accepting or not. If it is not accepting, then it will be the negative testing means it's correct. Yeah.
Correct. Now, what about the positive test scenarios, right? You can cover some test scenarios related to the trading, related to the sales. Let's say if any investor is doing, then is he or she able to trade or purchase stocks or sell stocks, right? So those things you can add in your positive test scenarios, right?
Yes, sir.
Not only stocks, then related, you can also cover this things like bonds are there, equities are there, whichever products are linked to the application, the purchase and selling both. Then again, vendors are also involved in this kind of applications. So
Yeah.
accordingly, the exchange rate conversion should work, right? So
Yes, sir.
this is good. And okay. So what is the difference between XPath and CSS?
XPath is basically the dynamic path where we can means it can be start from the in between also,
Hmm.
and CSS is also the same, but in CSS we are using the special class or the ID is being used here.
Hmm.
And XPath, we are having the various types like dynamic XPath, related XPath. In that, we follow the following siblings are there, ancestor is been preceding siblings are there.
Hmm.
And in the CSS selector, we don't, means it's been used for the partial purpose. And XPath is mostly been used instead of CSS selector.
Hmm. Right. Now, which weight have you used in your framework? Is it implicit weight or is it explicit weight?
Yes. So basically, there are three types of the weights: implicit weight, explicit weight, and the fluent weight.
Hmm.
But in our framework, I had been using implicit weight, and
Hmm.
also explicit weight is being used for the particular conditions.
Hmm.
Implicit weight is the weight in which it means it can be taken for the whole structure of the framework or that particular conditions
Hmm.
by default. That is implicit weight is having that is driver.manage.timeouts implicit weight 10 dot timeout dot seconds. This is the code. And for explicit, we are following that is for the expected conditions.
Hmm.
And there is also the code for the explicit weight. That is web element weight. Weight is equals to web driver weight
Hmm.
and driver, and then wait dot until expected condition dot visibility of the element located, and in bracket we are providing the ID to that. And fluent weight is the special weight which is used for the maximum conditions.
Hmm.
When the maximum timeout will be there, then for that condition we are using this with the help of with checking the frequency for
Hmm.
that particular element.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Now, how will you get the system date and time using Java? Is there any way to get the system date and time using Java?
System gate.
Yeah.
Sir, I don't. I.
Okay, no issues. The current system and
Mhm.
date and time. So if you want to retrieve that using Java program, so you can print the instance of, you can use java.util.date. That will fetch you the
Okay.
details.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, which are the primitive and non-primitive data types in Java?
Primitive data types are which are used to store the data, like int is there, then boolean is there,
Hmm.
length is there, short is there, double is being there. And non-primitive types of data are the arrays, strings,
Hmm.
and interfaces.
Hmm. Right. Now, in your resume, it is mentioned you are participating in the Scrum meeting to discuss about project progress report every day, right? Now, consider
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
scenario. Yeah. Now, consider a scenario where during one of these Scrum meetings, you came to know that there is a lot of work pending from your and your team's side as well. Now, one or two
Hmm.
team members are on leave, right? They might be
Hmm.
on sick leave. So, how will you manage the work?
Yeah. So for this condition, uh, I will be checking the uh, means the work which they have done. I will go through that,
Mm-hmm.
and based on that, I will be discussing with my team lead, and then otherwise I can call him and get to know what is the condition, and then I can proceed further.
Mm-hmm.
This can be one of the scenario.
Right.
Or on the high level of this, I will be checking depending upon the requirements which will be there. I will
Mm.
proceed further.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So basically, you will be trying to manage that the work is being getting done despite irrespective of the members are not available. So you will be trying to push hard, you will be stretching, and you will be requesting other members also to stretch, let's say for 30 minutes or 45 minutes at workplace itself. And then you will be
Yeah.
completing the, you will be trying
Task.
to, yeah, trying to complete that task. Okay.
Yes.
You are in your responsibilities, it is mentioned you are preparing the test cases, executing the test cases to validate customer requirement. So how many test cases do you execute every day?
So basically, it depends upon the scenario,
Mm,
complexity of the test cases.
mm,
If the complexity is more, then we execute 2 to 3,
mm,
and if it is complexity is less than 4 to 5, is okay. So according to that, we do the test cases.
mm, mm, mm. Okay.
Yes.
What is Apache POI?
Apache POI is basically it is a dependence. It means it's been used in the Excel sheet
Mm,
in the TestNG.
mm.
Yeah, with
Okay.
the help of Apache POI, we can have the Excel sheet.
Mhm. Right. So from Excel sheet, you are taking the data and using in your automation.
Yeah, yes.
How do you run the automation? How do you trigger the automation?
Yeah, with the help of the web drivers, we can trigger the automations
Mhm.
like interfaces. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so WebDriver or interfaces, right? This is fine.
Hmm.
So you have
Hmm.
created your automation, let's say, right?
Hmm.
Now you have to run your automation on some particular build version 1.1. Now that build version 1.1 would be deployed at 11 p.m. in the night. So how will you
Hmm.
trigger your automation at that time?
Okay.
Mm.
So can you simplify in simple language, sir?
Okay. How do you run your
Yeah.
automation?
Yeah, so automation will be run depending on the conditions. If the requirement is fulfilled, then we'll try to run the automation.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
See, if this kind of question is asked in an interview, right?
Hmm.
How do you run your automation? So indirectly, they are asking about the DevOps or any tool like Jenkins or Azure Ops which
Yeah.
you are using to run your automation, right? Let's say if build is
Hmm.
getting created at 11 p.m. So it is not
Hmm.
possible for us to stay in the company or offices and to trigger the build and then leave for the home, right? So
Yes, sir.
we have
Yeah.
Jenkins available. So a pipeline would be created, which would automatically create the machine on the fly. It will download
Hmm.
all the source code of the developer. It will download all the source code of the automation, right? It would have been created by you, and then it will run the automation. So when you come in the morning, your automation would have run and you would get exit report like how many test cases have passed, how many have failed. Then your
Hmm.
work is right. Then your work is to identify whether that particular failure has happened due to your automation script failure or some defect has been introduced. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is another
So CI/CD,
CI.
CI/CD, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this is another way of asking how do you what is CI/CD, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now you tell
Okay.
me what is CI/CD.
CI/CD is mostly being used to run the automation with the help of the Jenkins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not only Jenkins, there are other tools as well, like Azure Ops. So many tools
Hmm.
are available. Now,
Yeah.
which tool you are using?
In our organization, we use the Jenkins, but I was not a part of this DevOps teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
No worries. See, even if you're not a part of this team, you should know
Hmm.
what they are doing. See, they are
Yeah.
doing coding, right? They are just
Hmm.
doing coding, like creating machine on the fly, and then they are creating a pipeline. So
Yeah.
have a basic knowledge of all these things, like what happens when they create a pipeline. There will be a stage-wise
Hmm.
pipeline created, and there will be
Hmm.
multiple stages. Like in one of the stage, as we just discussed, machine would be created on fly, source code would be downloaded, automation would get triggered, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end the report would be emailed, right? In some pipelines there are professionals who have also integrated them with the Jira. So if any defect or if any failure happens, so automatically a defect would be created in Jira, right? So
Yeah.
this is how you
Yeah.
can explain in an interview, right?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
so
Sure.
even if you're not having the in-depth knowledge, keep some basic knowledge so that you can answer in an interview.
Yeah.
Which are the various exceptions that you have faced in Selenium?
While running or while having the framework, we have various types of exception. That is, tail element reference exception was occur many times. Then a timeout exception was been there. Then element no such element exception while finding out the elements. We got this element not visible exception was also one of the exceptions. Our array index out of bound exception also we got this in our framework. So these were the various types of exception. Even alert present exception was also there.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is fine. Okay. Can you tell us some particular defect that you have found in your career, let's say 3 years of career, and for that particular defect you have got some appreciation, or you have got some recognition? So would you like to share this kind of defect or scenario?
Like that conditions had not met yet occur. Yeah.
Okay. So here is a catch. See, even if such condition has never occurred, right? But it's in a real-time interview, you have to prove that you are going to fit for this job, right? So over there, you can take some condition. Now, for example, if you have worked in investment banking domain kind of application, so you can tell some defect with high severity, high priority. Let's say any scenario that for this particular vendor, the exchange rate was not working. You found out this defect 2 days, couple of days back before the live production was going to happen, and that time you found, and then you went to the root cause, and then you came to know that there was some defect that was fixed, which got, and your scenario got impacted with that particular defect, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this is how you can, what I would say, you can tell to the interviewer that you are the best person for this job.
Okay.
Even if such thing would not have happened, right? Let's say people don't give awards or recognitions to the testers in some of the companies, right? So you can tell, yeah, I had found some scenario. Or else you can also take an example of any product. Let's say if some application is there which has been developed in your company, and you were a part of that testing project, and let's say there were license related scenarios, right? So any person who is using a trial license, he or she would be allowed to use that product for 15 days. On 16th day, the license should get expired, and the a person should not be allowed to use that particular application or software, right? But you found out that the license, which was supposed to be valid till 15 days, was working after 30 days also, kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So this is again a blocker defect, which is impacting the business. So these kind
business
of
workflow.
so these kind of examples you can give when these questions are coming up.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay, Yogita, I am done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
So can you give the feedback?
Yeah. So see, I can give you the feedback on manual testing. So manual testing, it was good, right? Automation testing also, it was good. But there were a few questions like CI/CD I explained, right? Then I think one more question was there. Which was related to how will you create a ticket in Jira, right? So it's not like you are not knowing the answers. You are knowing the answers, but somewhere you are getting nervous, right? So don't get nervous at all in an interview. See, in whichever interview you go, in whichever company you go, that is not going to be the last company on this planet. There are many companies, there are many MNC companies in which definitely you will get an opportunity, right, to work.
Sure.
So don't get nervous at all, because when we get nervous, when we get conscious, so even if our brain knows the answer, but at the time of interview, if you get nervous, so automatically you will drive the interview in the other direction, right?
Yes.
So
Sure.
you were giving answers to the point. There were many questions which you were able to answer, but at some particular time you were getting some nervous, right? That's what I felt. So just work on that, and definitely I think your experience is good. You have worked on automation testing, you have worked on manual testing, you know about Jenkins. Then there are a couple of domains also which you have got that exposure. right? Your resume looks good. Just add a LinkedIn profile on this resume. So it
Okay,
would
sure,
be,
sir.
yeah, so it would be good. Then core Java knowledge you have. You have worked on
Mm.
Selenium, then Apache POI is also there. Yeah, I think rest of the things are really good. You don't need to worry
Okay,
anything about that.
okay, sir. I will definitely work on the feedback which you also given.
Yeah, yeah. And thank
And
you so much.
also,
Yeah, yeah.
one thing I like to mention that I'm following your blogs and the YouTube's videos,
Mhm.
and really it's interesting and it's helping me. Even I'm giving the interviews and quite experiments, means real time questions are been there, and definitely it is helping us for interview.
Right,
Yes, sir.
right. So that is great
Yeah.
if the channel's videos are, really helping you. So is it
Yeah.
okay if you can find, if you can share with us the interview questions and answers on this email address itself on which you had sent
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Sure.
right?
Yeah. Sure, sir.
You can
Yeah.
create the videos for the community and they will be able to use them.
Yes, sir. I will definitely share your answer. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yogita, for coming on our channel and wish you all the best for the career. Right?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye.